Civil rights leaders and activists calling the conviction of Derek Chauvin a victory and the start in the fight for reform. Minnesota's Attorney General Keith Ellison pointing out that the killing of George Floyd was just one in a long list of police brutality cases spanning decades.
Rodney King, Abner Louima, Oscar Grant, Eric Garner, Michael Brown, Freddie Gray, Sandra Bland, Philando Castile, Laquan McDonald, Stephon Clark, Atiana Jefferson, Anton Black, Breonna Taylor, and now Dante Wright and Adam Toledo. This has to end.
You heard him there. Start with Rodney King. In April of 1991, Rodney King survived a police beating so severe that he suffered 11 fractures. I think maybe even more. More than 50 blows by LAPD officers were caught on tape. But all 4 white officers involved were acquitted, triggering the LA riots. 17 other officers who stood by and watched the assault on King were never indicted. Lora King was just 7 when her father Rodney was beaten, and she now leads the Rodney King Foundation. She joins us live from Los Angeles. Lora, it's great to see you. Just tell us what that experience was like for you when you heard the verdict of Derek Chauvin being found guilty yesterday.
You know, I have to say I have mixed emotions because I was already, just high anxiety. And so I didn't realize that I was holding my breath. And it was a sign of hope. You know, it was definitely a sign of hope. Hopefully that's the ending of that type of brutality. Hopefully this has the domino effect of, reconditioning the whole police department throughout the world, not just the United States, throughout the world. Hopefully this has a dramatic effect on the world.
And yet, I mean, since your father didn't get justice, it didn't go that way for your father and your family. Was there, I don't know, was there sadness? Was there anger on your part hearing it yesterday?
More so, no. Yesterday, those emotions were totally different. Those emotions were historical, and it's sad that we have other people congratulating African-American men. Congratulations. When we live in America, and that it shouldn't even happen. It's sad that a part of their family has to celebrate, but yet and still he's not here. So they say justice was served, but in actuality, they will never see that man again. George Floyd is completely gone from the world. And it's sad that we have to celebrate that somebody gets justice. Like, that's just sickening to me. So I feel like it's hope. Like, I feel like I have faith of a mustard seed. I do, because I feel like it's hopeful. That gives us hope that finally we matter. We could be equal.
I know that you say that even though your father survived that beating, that in a way he didn't. That such a large portion of him didn't survive. He was so changed afterwards.
I'm glad you said that. Yes, although George Floyd's daughter had to witness her dad being murdered, I'm glad that's a title too, murdered on national TV. My father died. He died. A big part of him, his personality, his everything you can imagine. We didn't get our father. Me and my sisters and myself, we didn't get him. He was never complete. And a lot of people don't realize that. They think you're supposed to be normal after that. Can you imagine how many George Floyds or Rodney King are walking the street? And to us, it looks like they've completely lost their mind. But in fact, they probably was beaten. They probably was beaten damn near to death.
The Floyd family has just demonstrated such grace through this whole thing. I mean, they're such an incredible family, and they yesterday talked about forgiveness and how they're working on that. And of course, your father famously talked about that afterwards as well. So here they both are.
I just want to say, can we all get along? Can we get along?
And the process of forgiving needs to start. You can't solve anything on hate. You can't hate someone forever. We all have to move on.
Is forgiveness realistic at this point with where we are in this country?
You know what? God makes the impossible possible. And he only allows our heart to be opened up to that. And I think it very much is so, as long as America keeps serving what they served yesterday, a fair trial. As long as they get sent to jail for what they've done, absolutely. There's always hope.
You did say that you are hopeful today, that that's the feeling. And describe that.
It's an undescribable feeling, and every African American in the world can tell you it's historical because it's never happened. Have you ever watched the TV and seen guilty, guilty, guilty 3 times? No, let alone his sentencing. For him to get that type of sentence, 40 plus years, that's like unbelievable. Because usually if it's small things, it's never guilty on all 3. It's always, guilty on a small matter, and it's like maybe a year, 2 years served. The officers with my dad situation, the second round when they were found guilty, yes, but they didn't get a lot of time. They didn't. And my dad had a fractured skull. Do you know the impact of a person that has a fractured skull? They got chump change. And it's like, and to my knowledge, one of them is an active police officer still. And my question is, are they continuing the same work? It's just sad. So yesterday was like I'm super grateful for that. I'm super grateful for that.
Your dad's case was 30 years ago, and it did open so many of our eyes to what was happening because there happened to be a camera there, just like with George Floyd. Because there was that camera there, we got to see what a lived experience of Black men can be. And it changed all of us. But do you think that I know that there wasn't enough change, you feel, after your father's beating. Do you think something has fundamentally changed today?
I do, because now America, not just Black people, America has to explain this to their kids. Because now every kid possible has a phone. So it's like they're telling their friends. So they're coming back to their parents, white, Black, Asian, whoever. They're coming back to their parents for answers. And you're not going to lie to a kid. So America is forced to tell their kids the truth. And now it's a domino effect, and everybody is affected. So if that doesn't give hope, I don't know what does.
Lora King, great to talk to you. We really appreciate getting your perspective today. It's so important.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being here.